What's up, everybody? It's your boy JKG Bracken. Welcome back to the channel. We got some big leaks here for you today, but also we got a little bit of a channel announcement. I know you've probably seen it when you clicked on this video. The channel name has changed. We're going JKG Godforge. We're going all in on Godforge, y'all. Went ahead and I'm working on some channel artwork and stuff like that for the channel, but yeah, this channel is now the JKG Godforge channel. So we're gonna be doing all things Godforge. Stay tuned as the game comes closer to beta and full release and everything like that. We're gonna have all the news and we're gonna do some more reactions and stuff. I think my weekend this week I have some time carved out so we can get some reactions in. So we're gonna go back to some old Fateless videos and other creators videos, and we're gonna take a look at those and see what we can learn from those, what's, you know, and trying to garner what's been out already, what's been covered already, and all that kind of stuff. So stay tuned to that. Today, Friday leaks, y'all. It's Friday leaks, y'all. We got a good one. We have the Asgard level, the Asgard world is going to be the leak for this week. So you can kind of see right here, we're looking at the Asgard Bifrost. We have looks like we're gonna have 3 levels to it. So you can kind of see down here at the bottom, we have a map as well as kind of these 3 versions of what they're gonna look like, kind of the vibe of each area. So first and foremost, we have the Bifrost Bridge, which, as you know, that you get to Asgard by coming over the Bifrost Bridge, and then typically the Bifrost is like a rainbow bridge path, you know, aka the path to Asgard City. Here we're going to be able to see like the floating icebergs, the icebergs floating along the way. As far as what this picture here is going to show, I believe we're going to see these pictures a little bit later in a little bit more detail. So don't get caught up on trying to make your screen bigger there. So I believe what's going to happen is, and I could be mistaken on this, I don't know if this is going to be like, we're going to have, you know, some fights are going to be like 3 stages just here in the Bifrost, and then we have to move on to the ice alley and then move on to the Asgard gates and fight harder and harder enemies as we go. Or if it's going to be kind of wave 1 at the Bifrost Bridge, wave 2 at the ice alley, and wave 3 at the Asgard gates, each fight, something along those lines. Could be different, could be that, but that's kind of the vibe that I believe we're going to have. I think most of these games are going to have, you know, the battles are structured in 3s, right? You have 3 waves to get to where you're going. So that's kind of what I'm thinking. I have a feeling it's going to be fight, you know, so many enemies here, and it's going to be three tiers here, 3 tiers here, and 3 tiers here, just kind of by the vibes of the overall world pictures that we're seeing here. So if we look at, you know, level 2 or B as it's marked here on this screen, the Bifrost Bridge meets with the icebergs in some points of its extension. So the adventurers need to pass throughout tight ice alleys to continue their journey. So this is going to be kind of a tight, narrow alleyway. You can kind of see big, huge hammer statue at the end. We got the statues all along the sides here. You have our character model here for scale as well. So it's definitely going to be a pretty big feel to the world level, right? And then as we move forward and we pass through the ice alley, we get to the Asgard gates, which is going to be, you know, the giant wall with the big gate here. So we're most likely going to have to fight some enemies to then pass through the gates to the next portion, to the next layer. So that's something that I think is going to be really, really cool. And let's see what our next one is here. So we have the Asgard Bifrost view 2, the bridge entrance. So this is going to be the entrance to the Bifrost. So it looks like, you know, we're going to have our champions, our heroes here. We are going to have our enemies right here. We're going to fight through these rune covered gates as we go. And it looks like, to me, just from looking at this particular scene, I believe we're going to end up having, you know, having that 3-tiered wave system right there on the Bifrost, then in the alley, and then at the gates. That's what this looks like, just the way this battle scene is set up. So we'll kind of come through here. Asgard Bifrost, the Rainbow Walkway. So this is this was probably wave 1, and then we're gonna defeat this wave, move on to wave 2, which is most likely gonna be right here, taking place right on the Rainbow Bridge, the Bifrost itself, with the icebergs floating by and everything. Which, even though this is just a low quality rendering, it's not incredibly detailed. This has potential to be really cool once we see what this looks like fully fleshed out in the game engine. I have a feeling this is going to be one of the coolest levels that we're going to see, because the Asgard culture with all the runes and everything, it just has a vibe that is kind of unmatched, really. And then here we see the same picture, the Asgard Bifrost Bridge concept art here. This is the small picture that we saw previously. We have Asgard in the background. We have the Bifrost Bridge right here. We have our little champion guy here for scale. Icebergs floating around. You get a really good concept of the scale of the world here on this one. I really think this is going to be pretty damn cool, if you ask me. Not just because there's snow, but I think it's going to be really, really cool. And then we have Bifrost Bridge View 3, the ice sideways. So we have right here, we can see we're set up for battle right here on the bridge itself. And then looks like we're going to be able to make a little detour. We're going to be able to possibly come up these steps off to the left here, or possibly continue down the Bifrost Bridge. Maybe this is where we end up with like the reliquary up here. We can either, after we defeat this wave, maybe we have the option to head up here to maybe like a reliquary level to get some special stuff, or we can continue down the Bifrost Bridge. Who knows? I don't know. Do you know? Comment below. And then here we have the concept art for the Ice Alley. So this is the same picture that we saw before, just larger scale, so we can kind of see more of the details. You can kind of see the big, massive hammer statue in the background that is just encompassing and intimidating everybody that's standing in its way. You can see the really cool statues of the bros, the Viking bros, with their big hammers here. We have the totems being all covered in snow, looking all cool, setting a vibe. We got the little Christmas tree furs and stuff hanging out. I really think this is a cool vibe. I love winter. I love winter vibes. I love ice and snow. So I think this is going to be a really, really cool vibe to fight in. Next here we have the end of the Bifrost here. Looks like the Asgard entrance. So we're going to be able to, once we get through the Bifrost and we're moving on towards Asgard, we have to go through the gate here. So that's going to be really cool. Really want to see what these gates look like in color, because just kind of, if we come back over here with some of this stuff in the colors, even though they're kind of muted and have that kind of wintry vibe, I think once we see like these runes glowing and everything like we saw previously, I think this has potential to be really cool vibe of just, even if it's not a battle taking place right here, just our heroes, vibing through the world, moving on to the next portion of battle. This is going to be really dope to see once it's all colored out and everything like that. Here we have the Asgard Gates View 3. So again, this is similar to the third picture in that first scene that we saw, just a little bit more blown in. We're not seeing as much up, of the top mountains and stuff like that and everything, but we are seeing the Asgard Gates here with the runes on the side and the big stonework and everything, all the intricate details on the dragons that are holding up the lanterns and everything. Our little homie for scale. You can kind of see the patchwork done in here on the bridge, on the woodworking and everything. This is going to be a really cool feel once it's all fleshed out. With that, the Rainbow Bridge itself, we have the Bifrost Way. It's a rainbow bridge, so we're going to have colors. I imagine we're going to have more than just kind of a blue to purple kind of a tone to it. If it is only blue to the purple, it's going to look really cool. It's going to match with a lot of YouTubers. We're going to have our cool lights matching up when we play these levels and stuff, with our RGB and stuff. But If we can get some yellows and stuff, and they might be incorporating the yellows and kind of yellows and greens and golds and some of the brighter colors in with the runic aspect. You know, we can kind of see the lines and the intricate details kind of going along the lines of the pathway. So they might, you know, keep the actual bridge itself in that kind of blue to purple vibe, and then have all the accents be like yellows and greens and oranges and stuff like that, which could still be really dope. I would love to see more colors. I love bright colors in general, so more bright colors, the better, as far as I'm concerned. And you see here, this one is more of like a kind of a blue, a very light blue to a, you know, more of the muted blue. I believe this is around the blue that the previous one started at, just a little bit more grayscale. So we can kind of see that we get to see what it's looking in, you know, the blue to purple, and then just a kind of a blue to blue, more of just a straight up ice bridge kind of a vibe when it's just kind of blue to blue, to be completely honest. But really cool to see that they're taking consideration. Let's not just, you know, go with a rainbow bridge theme and just make it a straight up rainbow. Let's see what we can do to keep the vibes fresh and clean. And, you know, who knows, maybe we'll see, you know, for different events or something like that, if they ever do like a special event to get like a fusion champion that is coming to the Asgard, you know, faction, maybe we see the Bifrost a different color or something like that. That could be something that could be pretty cool. Then we have a frozen platform. This is going to be like an interchange between the Bifrost and the ice alley and everything like that. So you can kind of see we have a little bit of a wall for scale here, some vegetation creeping out of snow. That's just a really cool vibe. I lived in Colorado for a long time. We had a lot of this kind of vibe right here when we were going out for walks and stuff. In the wintertime, you'd have that snow off on the side of the paths, and then you'd have some of those big weeds and stuff kind of poking through that just did not want to die. So really cool to see. I like the vibe of just kind of having the stairway going up, and then you have the platform. Maybe we have a battle here, and then we move on up the stairway to the next platform for the next battle. I really dig that kind of vibe. So that could be really cool as far as just the moving through the world aspect. And then we're gonna see a little bit more detail here. Asgard themed pattern that we're putting on the actual steps. So we're actually going to see a little bit more detail on the steps themselves. They're going to not just be stone steps, not just wood steps. They're actually going to be carved in and have this pattern, which gives them a lot of texture, which gives them a lot of places for the snow to catch, for the light to catch, and everything like that. So it's not just going to be generic steps leading from one place to another. They're going to have a vibe of their own, which I really dig this vibe. Kind of want this in my house. But I live in California, so everything is a one-story house, so we don't have any need for steps. So why would we have stairs, right? And then you can kind of see it on the little mini wall. We can kind of see everything kind of encapsulated all in like that one area where we have the wall, we have the themed pattern here, the carving pattern, we have the snow, we have the grass coming through. It's just a cool ass vibe, if you ask me. This is going to be really dope to see, you know, once it's even like this is cool just to see as this. I think this is going to be a really cool thing to see once it is fully in game with the lighting and everything, and all the art and all the colors are just fully done. I think it's going to be really dope. We have the Norse totem. These are going to be, it says Norse totem for the stairs. So these are going to be like on the sides of the stairs. These are going to be like your staircases at the bottom, the foot of your stairs, and then probably at the top as we go through on each side. Definitely is going to be same Bifrost endless column base material, so it's all going to be the same brick down at the bottom, but they are going to have that kind of carved wood with cool ass, you know, braided beards and stuff that we all know and love from the Norse Viking era. Here we have Asgard sculptures, so we can see here we have our little homie for scale on all these, so we know these are going to be pretty gigantic. If this dude is like, let's say 6 foot tall, these are what, like 18 feet tall. If you give him for scale properly. So this is the big homie right here, holding up that big hammer like it is just nothing. We all can strive to be that strong and that capable of doing such a badass feat. You can see the big face carved into the mountain, which would be really sick to see in real life if somebody did that. I know we have like the Mount Rushmore and we have the Crazy Horse statue out in, both of them are out in South Dakota. If you've never been there, go check it out. It's really cool to see something carved into a mountain so big on such a big scale, because it is very cool. Whether you like the you know, all the backstory and politics behind them, just the actual carvings and everything, they're very cool to see in person because the scale of them is just immense. And this would be the same kind of vibe. Here we see we have a single head, we have a triple head, and then over here we have a triple head, but also more kind of stepped out. This one here, this last one, gives kind of a like almost like a Naruto Hidden Leaf Village kind of vibe, where with all the Hokage carved up onto the hill. This could be kind of a similar vibe, you know, all the different, you know, kings and everything. You know, you're gonna have Odin, you're gonna have probably gonna have Odin, Thor, Loki. Those are gonna be the big ones, right? You're gonna have stuff like that carved in there. Maybe if they're not like the Odin, Loki, Thor faces, maybe you have something like Eric the Red, or, you know, just Viking leaders of the past that are going to be in there carved into the mountain, which is going to be really, really cool to see. And then we have two versions of gigantic Yggdrasils floating with parts or architectural structures. So we got kind of a treehouse vibe, kind of swirling around, you know, up to the spire on this one. This one's a little bit more straight. This one's a little bit more weaved in and out and everything. So I kind of like the vibe of this one over here on the right, the gigantic in the Celtic knot format that they're putting in here. So it's kind of weaved in and out, kind of like you have two vines and you just kind of spin them around. And so as they grow, they just keep going as they go. But you still kind of have that like platform treehousey vibe. I really dig that. That's going to be really cool to see where that's going to be coming into play. Just because in the other artwork, we don't really see where these are in the world. So I'm really curious to see where that comes into play. Here we have the Asgardian man sculpture. So this is the bro with the big hammer hanging out on the side. We can see what he's going to look like from the back with the shield on the back. Super, you know, typical Viking shield. Big, huge hammer. Very restful pose. Very, very traditional pose for a lot of the Viking sculptures. I do believe a lot of them are going to have that kind of same pose, whether it's a hammer or just a big ass sword that they have right there. It's just a really powerful pose. And again, we have our little homie over here for scale, so we know these are going to be pretty damn big, to be completely honest. We see this one is going to be made out of iron, so it's not necessarily going to be a carved sculpture out of, you know, stone or wood or anything like that, but it looks like it's going to be like a cast sculpture type of vibe out of iron with a stone base, which is going to be really cool. And then we're going to have like the Celtic little mini shields kind of going across here for accent. So I'm really curious to see if they add any color to this or if they just leave it kind of that iron gray and black kind of vibe. If there's any kind of color, I think this would be a really cool place to add some color, maybe on the hammer with the patterning on the hammer. That would be a really cool place to add some color. Just little pops of color, I think would be really cool on a statue like this. So that would be something I would love to see. We have some more sculptures. We have Elder Asgard warrior sitting on a rock throne holding Mjolnir, which, you know, Mjolnir is such a badass weapon. Mjolnir is one of the coolest weapons in all of mythology, just because, you know, not just because Thor wields it, right? It's you have to be worthy. Mjolnir has to deem you worthy for you to wield it. So that is super cool right there. We have a Valkyrie in an imposing stand pose holding a big hammer. That is definitely what we see there. Big hammer. We have Valkyrie hanging out, just looking over the land, just saying, this, you want this, come and get it. I really dig it. Over here we have carved bust of Odin with his crow partner. If you don't know, Odin has crows and ravens and everything. I know in like the Vikings TV show and everything, a lot of And even they kind of used it in Game of Thrones, right? Would they send their messages on ravens instead of like pigeons and stuff? So very cool in that kind of not Scandinavian, but like that Norse mythology. The ravens and crows have a very prevalent place in their societies, similar to Native Americans. Native Americans really revere and respect crows and ravens as well. So that's really dope. And then again, we have the big hammer tower carved into a big rock. And this is going to be the one that we saw at the end of the ice alley. So this is going to be the end of that. And you can kind of see we have an itty bitty little fella. Let me see if I can zoom in. We have a little itty bitty little fella down here, just about the size of my cursor. So for scale, this is going to be massive, absolutely massive. So I'm really looking forward to seeing these in game, fully fleshed out with full lighting and everything. And then here we have our dragon, our lamps basically with all the coal in here that's going to be lit for the fires. We can kind of see, no coloring or anything like that really put in here, but you can kind of see the intricate details as far as the carving and how the light and the shadows are going to play off of that. Really dope to see these. These are going to line the sides of the Bifrost. That's going to be really cool to see. Here we see a little bit more fleshed out, right? Not super, not completely done, but we can kind of see they're going to have that kind of steel silver vibe. We have the coals that are lit up. They're going to be glowing. There's probably going to be some dancing fire in there. And I really like the vibe of this. Just kind of gives it that kind of old Norse Viking feel. We have a little bit more artwork on the stairs themselves. So we're able to kind of see the stairs are actually going to be wood stairs. They're going to be carved. They're going to have everything in here. It's going to give a really good opportunity for snow to kind of catch and fall and pool into different spots. Maybe if there's like a rain or something like that, we can see different pooling as well. And then you can kind of see that we're going to get some really good play off of shadows and light on these carvings as well, especially on this particular view of these, because you can kind of see the light sources way over here, and we kind of see the light glinting off of the ice over here, but we get that nice shadow, and then boom, the shadow's done and we're back into the light. You can see the light really playing off of this. We have the shadows really defining the carvings. I really like this vibe. This is very small detail, but I really dig this vibe aesthetically. And then we have some of our different iceberg shapes. I mean, icebergs are icebergs for the most part. These are going to be floating by. I imagine we're probably going to be fighting on some of these at some point as well. Some of the different platforms that are going to be connected by the stairs going off into different places. So this is going to be really cool to see how this gets fully fleshed out. But this top left one right here, we have that really acute angle, and we can kind of see the light shimmering off of that ice. That really looks like what the light looks like when it's shimmering off. If you live somewhere where it snows, you know what I'm talking about. You go out to shovel your driveway or something in the morning, and it's iced over, and you're slip sliding along and everything. And if the sun hits it just right, it is really gorgeous. It's treacherous, but it's really gorgeous at the same time. Here we can see one of the totems in a 3D model just spinning around here for us. So it's carved wood. Very cool to see it kind of spinning around. It's not, I don't know if this is going to be a destructive piece. It might be pretty cool to see, one of our big hitters do a massive destructive blow, and then maybe these get, cracked in half or something. That would be something really cool to see. We have, some inspiration photos here of our, of the Viking warriors in their stance. Statues are always cool, man. Like, you can't have enough of the statues. These are the renderings in the 3D render space, so we're going to see kind of how it looks if it's just going to be stone. I still kind of want to see some color brought in. If we can get some color on these guys right here, maybe even some color in the helmet, down in the head of the hammer, that would be really cool to see. have a little bit of a 3D render of the big huge hammer, the big huge hammer tower in all white. This is going to be really cool to see, kind of see how with the texture on the rocks and everything, how the light really kind of plays with all of the different angles and everything like that. I really dig that. As just from an aesthetic standpoint, I really dig shadows and light. So that's going to be really, really freaking cool. Here we see it more kind of textured out into stone. So you can kind of see we're starting out. This is preliminary. We're just doing it in black and white. And then, okay, let's add on some textures. We're going to add on some colors and some textures, make it a little bit more stonework. This is going to be a vibe, guys. This is going to be a vibe. Then we're going to have all the snow and everything piling up on it and the sun. And probably we're going to see a bunch of like storms and stuff in the background. Maybe some thunder and lightning. I mean, come on. We got, you know, it's the land of Odin and Thor and everybody. We're going to see some storms, right? We have to. We have to see some thunder and lightning. Really want to see like some thunder. I would love to hear some thunder in the game. If we're going to have really cool game audio, I would love to hear like the thunder claps and then have some lightning come down and maybe strike the hammer at the top of the top of the handle there and kind of light it up, and maybe have like some electricity coming down the chains right here into the actual head of the hammer. That would be pretty cool. But that is the last of the pictures here for the leaks that we have for this week, guys. I hope you like this one. There was a lot of assets that were given to us to show you guys today. So I hope you guys did like this. There is a lot to unpack here. I'm sure I missed a whole bunch. I'm sure the other creators have touched on that. And speaking on that, go show some love to all the other creators, man. Everybody is doing their best to bring you guys these leaks and give you our perspective on these leaks, especially since the game hasn't even gotten to beta yet. We're giving you as much news as we can as we get it. And then, yeah, we're trying to build this Godforge community so we can have a strong community day one when the game launches. Beta is coming in early 2025, where Simon has kind of retracted a little bit and said Q1 of 2025 for the beta. He did say March in a recent video, but he has since stated just straight up Q1 for the beta. So if you haven't done it, go over to the website, sign up for the beta, join the Discord. I'll have both of those links down below in the description, and go join the community. Come say hi. If you have any innovation ideas, if you have any ideas for champions, if you have any ideas for, you know, anything at all in the Discord, they do go through everything, guys, and they are listening to everything. They do read all the comments that you guys put on all of our videos as well. So if you have something that you want to get to them, comment below so we can get that information to them. If you think it's trash and you don't like the vibe of the artwork or whatever, don't just say it's trash. Give some actionable feedback. Say, I don't like this because of this. That way we can take it to them and actually potentially try to make it better for you guys. So, you know, criticism without construction is just talking shit. So let's go ahead and provide constructive criticism to anything. So if you don't like the vibe of something, we can bring that to the team for you guys on your behalf, so we can try to make this the best game that we can. I'm not even part of the Fateless team, but I want the game to be amazing, and because that is just going to be the healthiest thing for the community. We're all super excited about this game and cannot wait for it to launch here in 2025. And yeah, that's going to do it for this one, guys. Let me know your thoughts down below in the comments. Comment a 1 in the comments if you made it to the end, because I'm curious. So hope you guys liked it. Again, I'm JKG Brandon, aka JKG Godforge, and yeah, stay tuned for all your Godforge news and leaks, guys. News and leaks. That's what we're going to be doing for a little bit until the game is in beta, at least. So that being said, I'm JKG Brandon. Y'all have been amazing. Love you. Peace.